Hey, what's up guys? Travis Fulton here and welcome to Online Gainz. Each week, I'm gonna be sharing with you real insight on how I'm developing players all across the world on full swing, short game, and putting. Be sure to tune in. All right, so let's take a look at the swing here. And as we were talking about, when you turn, you're gonna see that right hip kind of spin away from that post right there. See that gap between that red line and that hip. Now, when you do that, you tend to hang a little bit to the left and the spine wants to drop a little bit. You'll see the head kind of dip down right there and you're just not fully loaded into that trail side. Now, this particular pattern with the driver, because we know we want to hit up on a little bit, then we start to kind of launch up and back. See the head starting to back up now? Okay, so we know we got to hit up on it. So we start to kind of launch up and back, taking on a lot of side bend to the right. This drives the path out to the right. We'll see that from the target line, exiting high. And that's where those low hooks come from. So what we want to do is we want to get you more loaded. And to do that, I've got to get the pelvis to move a little bit more diagonal towards the right heel, let the right side climb. And I think when we do that, you're gonna feel two things. You're gonna feel like you got more weight into your right side, and you're also gonna feel like you can kind of extend your spine and get taller, right? So you'll feel more loaded into the right. That right hip will close that gap. Spine will get taller, weight loaded, and then from there, I think we have a really good chance to cover it and get the club to exit more to the left. Let's go to the other view. So the biggest thing from this view is gonna be, you're gonna see your feet kind of aiming off to the right, your shoulders certainly a little bit more open to that. Not the end of the world, something that we'll probably look into a little bit as we start to work on some things. But the biggest thing from this view is going to be how this club exits. I want you to watch this club as you come through impact. Watch where the club shows up on the other side. You can see how it's up kind of in your ear, neck area, and we need to get it more underneath that left shoulder. Maybe not quite that low, but somewhere in that area. Got to get that club to exit lower and to the left. Now, anytime you see it up in that neck, then you're gonna get a lot of kind of push, and then you're gonna get a lot of low lefts, like you are with the driver. Not as much with the iron, because you can hit down on it, and that attack angle down, you can use to stabilize the face a little bit more, but when you hit up, and that club is exiting to the right, boy, that face can get going left in a hurry. So from face on, that's gonna be what we saw in that analysis from face on. That's gonna be really important to get you more diagonal into the right hip, to get the right hip climbing, get the spine extending more back. You'll feel taller. You'll feel like, you know, maybe even a little bit of a lift. You're not lifting, but you're certainly spiraling up. And then from there, I'm gonna show you a really cool kind of Matthew Wolf drill that's gonna get this head turning and looking more down behind you. And I think once we get you more loaded and we get you taller, you'll feel like you have more time coming down to get this club to turn the corner back around to the left. And I'll show you how to get this shaft when we do that to exit down in that shoulder area. And I think the end result, you'll feel like you probably can start hitting a little bit of a power cut. All right, so there's a shot that I see from time to time, online lessons and people coming into the studio, that low left shot. Now, the majority of you that are watching this, you might be on the other end of the spectrum where it's a lot of spin and it's leaking to the right. So this video might not be the best for you. You got the big slice going, but for those of you that hit that low left, for those of you that hit a lot of blocks out to the right, a lot of push, too many hooks, this is a great video for you. And it comes from a lesson that I did in the studio just a couple weeks back. Really good player, but when he got to his drive, there was too many low left shots. He wasn't doing it as much with his irons because he was hitting down on it, trapping it, stabilizing the face a little bit more. But when he got to the driver, it was really bad. A lot of low left hooks. And it really stems from the path, of course, being too much out to the right. We saw this player that when he would swing through impact, you could see the club exit very much into the neck area like this, versus that club turning the corner and exiting, say, more under the left shoulder. Anytime I see that club exiting up in here in that neck area, that's a very high exit, and that's telling me we're probably getting the path too much out to the right. From face on, when you looked at it, you could see the spine really backing up this way, taking on a lot of side bend early in the downswing. So from the top of the swing, you could see him go this way. The club would then exit nice and high this way. The question becomes is, why was he taking on that side bend? Is it a fix just as simple as saying, hey, look, let's not go this way through impact. Let's stay more like this on top of it. And from there, as a result, we'll get that club to turn the corner and exit more to the left. You could have probably went that direction, would have gotten a little bit of traction out of that. But when I looked at his swing and the analysis that you saw before this, I felt like we needed to address how he was loading up. When you look at him from face on, you could see him turn and you could see the hip kind of sink a little bit, right? To that post that was right here, he would kind of turn and create some space right there and really kind of hang left just a little bit too much, in particularly with the driver. Now, this is a move that when you do this, you can get away with this a little bit more with an iron, but with the driver and that ball teed up and knowing that we want to maybe hit more up on it, when he would kind of hang left like this, his spine would go down, and then from there, as he would unwind, he would kind of feel the need to back up this way, and then again to that high exit. So what we talked about was getting the pelvis to move a little bit more diagonally towards that right heel, and then let himself kind of turn and get the right side of the pelvis higher. He felt like he was swaying a little bit. He felt like his belt buckle was moving, say, past that post, but then from there, as he turned and to the top of the swing, you would see that hip stay right on that line rather than spin away. Okay, so a very different pelvic action or pelvis action where it's moving a little bit more diagonally and then up, climbing. I really like the drill, and we did this where he was up here and then he would kind of feel that left foot kind of lift a little bit, really solidifying that he was more loaded into his trail side and not hanging left and spinning. The other thing that he felt was that when he was over there, is that when that right side climbed, he felt like he could kind of extend the spine up a little bit. I like that, kind of the feeling of this elongation up or spiraling up. You're still keeping your orientation to the ball this way. Okay, you're not going here and then up and pulling off of it. You're certainly not going over here and up and swaying off this way. You're still keeping that orientation to the ball, but you feel like you're kind of elongating and getting taller. So those two things, here and up, really got him to feel like he was taller, he was more loaded, and then from there, we could then let him kind of fall and start to cover it better and exit more to the left. And anytime I see that pattern with the pelvis, the spine maybe dropping a little bit, and then certainly backing up, I'm going to take the time to work on that backswing, give him more time now to fall and turn the corner back to the left. So that's something to consider, I think, just in general, as far as how the pelvis is working, how the spine is working, how we're loading to the top, and then coming down for those of you that are hitting that low left shot. I think you've got a really good chance now to come down, cover it, and get the club to exit to the left. Now, let's talk about that for a second. The exiting to the left, something I talk about quite a bit with players when they're ready to exit left, is I like using the Matthew Wolf drill where you kind of turn and look down behind, right? So you kind of turn, look down behind, versus turn and look up. If I turn and look up, of course I back up. If I turn and look down, well, now look at my shoulders and my hips. They're feeling more around this way, okay? So that's a great sensation of kind of here, getting that club to turn the corner, back around to the left. So when he paired that up, it was a big difference. It really was. I mean, in the way that he was over here, in the way that he would then kind of sit and turn, and he was getting that club to exit just underneath that left shoulder, and all of a sudden, he was hitting a little baby fade. I like this lesson. I hope it helps you for those that are struggling with those hooks.